of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a forum. We have the public hearing part for the 2024 budget. Anybody, we'll open the floor for a minute for discussion. Anybody have any discussion? Thoughts, questions? You have any thoughts, questions?
I do not. Not yet.
Super user capabilities last time, and you guys had higher power than she had. That's why I saw that you guys didn't see.
I am.
Okay, we will close the public hearing part of the 2024 budget. We will move on to the consent agenda. Is anything pulled or edited from the minutes of August 15th and September 5th, as well as the township credit card statements?
No changes from me.
None from me on either the August 15th or the September 5th meetings or the credit card.
Okay. Just get a motion to approve.
I will motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. You guys need. Okay, next up, any public comment? Okay, we'll move on to department head reports. Start off with township assistant.
Good afternoon. You've seen our township assistance report for the month of August. Rental applications are not slowing down even a little bit. As I said in my note, just about everybody in Avon is paying more than $1,000 a month in rent. So whenever we're having to pay an entire portion of their rent for all of it, then we're paying $1,000 at least. We do appreciate Cypress Manor continuing to keep their rate at $100 a month. And then we are working with Burlington a little more closely now to try to get their payments to them more timely. They don't usually send their bills to us timely, so it's exciting that we are having a smoother relationship. Questions on it?
No.
Okay. Next up, human resources.
Good afternoon. In the report, I'd like to point out that we hired 4 new staff members for the extended care. The terminations at the end were just the end of the camp, just getting them off payroll. That's why there were so many of them for August. You'll see another big number in September for the pool. We're still currently hiring for the extended care counselors, and in about a week and a half, our new fire administrative assistant will be starting. Excuse me, any questions?
No.
All
right.
Thank
you.
Parks.
All right, this month, the administrative staff spent the majority of their time working on finishing up the strategic plan and also our budget. Aquatics, we were fortunate enough to have all of our hot days in August. So we were able to end pretty strong in August, and Labor Day weekend was really great for us as well. Now we're working on draining the pools. We'll be draining the activity pool tomorrow. The wave pool will stay open for our medieval Viking ship race this weekend. And then also we're going to do a dog day in the wave pool. Programming has the medieval festival this weekend. They're also working on all of their Halloween events and holiday events, and then they have some big events coming up here soon as well. Youth services, we are actually fully staffed, but we've started opening up for the third person at each location so we can start bringing more people in. As I say that will change daily, but we're excited to see the third person coming on so we can start adding in those waitlisted people because our goal is to have nobody on the wait list. For the nature center, we brought back the homeschool groups, and then we spent the month of August looking at our electrical needs. We had the fire department came out and gave us some tips for our electrical needs as well. And then our maintenance staff has worked on finishing up the pickleball court. We had the junior day of caring today. We actually did some landscaping around the pickleball court, so the pickleball court looks a lot different. We added a concrete pad for a shade structure, and then you can see in the picture up here that we added a drinking fountain as well, and we're already seeing a lot of traction at that drinking fountain too. And then, of course, we attended the awards banquet. Murphy Park won a merit award for landscape design. And so we're just kind of wrapping up our summer events and moving on to our fall events as well. You can see as far as our revenue goes, we are at 115% for our general budget. We are at 85% for our MAP budget, and we are at 100% for our overall goal. So we've already hit our revenue goal for the year. And then with that, I sent you guys additionally the profit statement for Murphy Park, the profit statement for Explorer Camp, and the profit statement for Lily Camp also. And we'll do that each year. And then at the beginning of the year, when we give you our end of the year review, the Murphy report will be a little different because we have several sponsorships to start selling for next year. And then we have, of course, Labor Day weekend and the dog days to be added into that too.
We also have some expenses that will still stay on because we've got some staff, management staff.
Yes.
That will
So
be
our
there
aquatics
too.
director will still stay on that. And then also the winterization of our facilities too.
Couple quick questions. How many kiddos are still on the wait list?
It depends. It's different for each school, but it's about 12 in total.
Okay. And then when will the pool open back up? Will we do Memorial Day?
I will fill the pools in May, and then I have some trainings and stuff like that. But ideally, it'll be Memorial Day weekend. We may open a little bit earlier, depending if we have those heaters in by then or not,
Okay.
because then we can open up for swim lessons if the pools are at a higher temperature.
Right. Okay.
Okay, fire.
Good afternoon. I want to start out with the compliment we received and read a statement that I paraphrased in the report. Just like all of our fire and EMS personnel, we're always excited to get compliments, and we get them incidentally as we're out. During 9/11, Chief Porter, myself, Chief Phipps, and we were out for lunch. Received compliments as we normally do at that time of year. Again, those are always appreciated. But again, whenever we can get a compliment like we got here, and for whatever reason, Rob Stamp and Star Wells, they've been magnets for these public comments that come in, okay? And but I want to read this out publicly because I always kind of brief the compliments they get. But on this particular run, the person said, I wanted to reach out and request the names of the EMS team that responded to a collapsed person on Sunday at around 11 a.m. in Avon. This was a few weeks back, so it's been a few weeks now since the report. But said it was an African-American male and female team. I want to personally thank them and commend them for their incredible response time, professionalism, and care they provided for my uncle. I'm deeply grateful for them during what was an incredibly stressful moment for me. I hope this is something you can share. If not, please pass my words on directly to those two. They went above and beyond my expectations. That's a testament not only to those two, but all of our department. That's a reflection of every response we go on. That's a reflection of walking in and out of people's house and having the credibility and responsibility just to be a professional and what it means to be a professional. But those two, for the last 3 months standing in front of you all, I think have received the most direct comments. A lot of times we get them in general. This one was very specific and was able to go back and be traced. But again, proud of our employees, EMS and fire both, the responses they do. And as you look at the matrix coming up here in a few, you'll also see that our response times are always on average well within the accepted range per NFPA. So one of the things we would look at as we go to the next couple pages on our fire department metrics is you'll see runs are up 392 runs to date over 2022. I think we're still staying with the pushing over 8,000 runs this year. Just below the chart, you'll see our average response times in district. Dispatched on scene is 6 minutes, 21 seconds. Average turnout time is about 1:03. That goes anywhere from high 50s to the low 1 minutes on average for turnout time. That's hearing the alarm, getting in the rig, and responding. As we go down and look at staffing here, the mutual aid given 265 incidents within staffing. Our overtime's down for a second consecutive month in each position and overall, and apparatus out of service. We always report this because the battalion has been being covered by administrative personnel frequently upon starting here in February. That was 0 hours. Again, that was a consistent 2 months in a row. We're still working at developing suitable backup battalions. There's a few people on that list right now, plus the ones we already have. I think we have a couple. Engine 144 was out of service 0 hours. And Engine 144, EMS only, was 0 hours. Since the start of the year, Chief Porter sent me some statistics right just before the meeting. Since February 1st of this year, we've had 3 backup officers, 7 backup engine chauffeurs, 1 backup ladder chauffeur, and we also had 2 backup officers recently promoted. So you saw the badge pinning and swearing in ceremony we just had. We're just trying to capture everybody with time off, our time off, and trying to make this the right thing and honor them appropriately. A lot of moving parts for those guys. And, some of that was oversight on my part. Chief Porter, Chief Phipps have done a good job on tracking people and making sure we honor things like the badge pinning and making sure we stay up to date on our swearing in and the things that are appropriate for our department and also needed. So we're trying to drill down how that's going to look moving forward. But again, giving them an opportunity to be publicly recognized, inviting you all, a little bit last minute on my part, sorry about that. But again, putting that out there, letting the public know that we appreciate them and showing the progress the department's making where people are stepping up and Avon's starting to try to own Avon again. And that's what the demand was in the beginning and the hope and request of the people. So with that said, we're into the civilian fire academy. We have 5 people, 5 or 6. The age of them, they're all interested and of age to apply for the department and interested. Again, this is open to anybody. This particular academy, knowing we have a hiring process coming up, also includes one of our civilian medics, Star Wells, who wants to explore that part. So she's coming over and participating in the civilian academy to see if it's something she wants to pursue. Again, open to the public, open to our people, whoever can make it work. If you guys want to come over one Thursday night at 6, feel free to. Coming up, I can tell you for a couple of events as it goes along the lines of investigations and inspections. On September 28th, they're going to have their burn back in the investigation cells. Those are the cells we've talked about from prevention, where they can go back and recreate rooms and room contents fires and kind of use that for investigative techniques or reworking an incident for their own trial and error on determining the cause and origin of a fire. After that, on October 6th, I would invite each of you to come out, if you're able, for another investigations class. This is similar to what we did when we brought the crime scene investigators out, the different prosecuting attorneys from at least our county. I know Levi's opening another class to bring people out from other departments, other agencies. I know Speedway, Wayne Township, and others expressed an interest. But after the burn on the 28th, we're going to take those burns and have the investigators come out from various agencies and determine the cause and origin. So these will be planned specifically with that class in mind. So the Civilian Fire Academy can get their experience and see what it's like to put out a fire. And then our people will have a chance to do an investigation and present that again to the public and open it to other agencies.
Chief Ross, where are these held?
Where?
Where?
They're held at the training grounds.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, on the gravel lot.
Got
I can get you the time for the one on October 6th. Levi hasn't sent the invites out yet. He'll be doing that shortly. The 28th, it'll be September 28th for the Civilian Fire Academy. That will be 6 o'clock, between 6 and 8:30, 6 and 9, somewhere in there. Also, inspections and investigations. They've got a $50,000 year-to-date revenue. That revenue alone from them is justifying the inspector investigator we hope to add next year on the in our manpower projections as part of the budget. So again, those guys are very self-sufficient, and I only see that number going up as they do the plannings and we get an inspector out, they start going out and being a lot more active in the community. They're way behind on the things they need to do, so that additional person is not only justified but needed. Last thing to leave you with, we've been meeting with engineers and architects to drill down our capital projects coming up that have been proposed. We've started walking through sites. That's not in your stuff there, but just a matter of information. We're meeting with them. We've been walking sites. We feel good about what we proposed versus what they may come back with. Doesn't sound like Chief Porter and Chief Phipps were too far off on their guesses. When I was a little bit nervous about it, maybe. Those guys do have a background and a knowledge base that I respect and appreciate. They brought that to the table. Engineers and architects are not shaking their heads saying it's impossible, but they're going to be coming back with the plans in short order over the next week or so. So as we move forward, those things will be coming to this board in subsequent months and or years. Any questions?
No, I'm glad to see the out of service hours after bugging you for the last 3 months or so. I'm glad to see those are down to 0. So I appreciate that and all the staff that has made that happen. So.
Yeah, I can tell you that's a popular and an unpopular thing, right? There were some policy changes that had to be made that may be contributing to that. Again, the end of the year is always an interesting time in the fire service. So we start meeting our deductibles and things start getting addressed. So it's not that it's the end of it, but it has at least started to show itself. So policy changes some of that, but people stepping up into the leadership positions has allowed us some flexibility to also stop that from happening. So it's a kudos to the employees as well. Good. Thank you.
Trustee report.
Not in my report, since it happened today and not last month, which my report is referencing, but Junior Day of Caring was today. Laura mentioned that already. We did have students from the high school that were out here at the Township headquarters building, as well as at PCAR and at the Township Park. So I did have an opportunity to speak with some of the students who were out there today. It was a beautiful day to not be stuck in class, so I think they were appreciating that. But certainly we appreciate the school corporation and all of the students that were able to come out to help us out. Having so many extra hands to be able to get some of these jobs done is a big benefit, and certainly we do appreciate that. Back to my report. As has been mentioned, we have been working, seems nonstop, on the 2024 budget, as has been discussed time and time again. I know I said it at the last meeting, but it can't be said enough. Each of the department heads that we have a solid team of individuals working for us here in the township, and I know it's something that I'm proud to work with them, and I'm certain I won't speak for the board, but you all most certainly already know this, but should certainly be proud of them as well, because we do have a great team put together, and I'll say at as many public opportunities as I can, the good work that we're doing here in the township, and that's led by the department heads that we have, putting these numbers together, getting a good, useful budget, staying responsible, but still keeping up with the growth and planning for future is all important. And I think they are able to come up with a good balance to accomplish all of those goals. Moving on from that, as Chief Brock mentioned, we have been meeting about some of the future projects that we have coming up, both within the Parks Department as well as the Fire Department. We have a number of different projects that we want to move forward on. We are still in the very early phases of those projects, but we need to get this groundwork done, have these meetings, talk with the players who are going to be involved to find out again what is going to be the best plan to get these projects done moving forward. So those meetings will be ongoing, and we'll certainly be keeping you all in the loop as additional information or additional opportunities to come in and join us for some of those meetings are available. Last thing I have is to point out next Monday through Wednesday, 4 of us from the township staff will not be here in the office. We will be attending the annual conference for the Indiana Township Association. So we will have opportunities to go listen to a few keynote speakers that they have, as well as learn about new legislation and several other topics that they have during their breakout sessions. So we will not be in the office. If you come here looking for us, you won't find us here Monday through Wednesday, but we will be on the north side of Indy attending that conference. Looking forward to that, though.
It's a good conference. Yeah.
Is it good?
Steve and I both went in the beginning, and it was actually, that's where Melanie came from.
Yeah.
I think I texted in the middle of his session and said, I don't know who this guy is, but call him Don. So.
I know we've already printed off some of the agendas and highlighting some of those breakout sessions we're looking to try to get to. Yeah, looking forward to hearing what some of those speakers have to say.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Okay, thank you. Next up in old business, we have Washington Township Transportation.
Yes. So last evening, I sent out an updated agreement. I've been working with Bellamy on that agreement. I don't know if everybody's had an opportunity to go over that yet. I sent it to Marina the same time I sent it to the board last evening. She and I spoke very briefly earlier today, just with a couple questions. I will follow up with Jeff. Jeff, give you something to look forward to there. I'll be bugging you later on about that to get some of those questions answered. If we have any more amendments to that document, I'll make sure that I send that out to you as soon as I can as well. But again, trying to move forward, trying to make sure that we are addressing all of the concerns or the items that we brought up in our previous discussions that we had here at our meetings.
So there's still some tweaking.
Potentially, I think I could probably answer Marina's questions now, but I want to make sure that I am speaking appropriately as far as the agreement goes, just to make sure that the right wording is in there.
Yeah.
Obviously, we need to have a document that Senior Services is comfortable signing, just as much as it is a document that we're comfortable signing. So
I did have an opportunity to read it.
Okay.
And, yeah,
certainly, if there's any feedback
I
from the
think
board,
I think we're getting really close.
I agree.
I agree. I'd like to read it one more time.
Yeah, sure.
Did not read it to that flesh.
I barely scanned it last night.
Well, yeah, and
I
it
saw
was
it came
it was
through,
it was
and I
dinner
was
time
like,
last
wow.
evening when that came out, so it was yeah, right at the end of the day. So completely understand that.
Okay. Next up, Murphy Aquatic Pedestrian Crossing.
Unless Brett has heard something more up to date than I have, there was some paperwork that we needed to sign with the bond bank in order to get the check cut. But that was as soon as we got that document from them, we signed it and scanned it back over to them. I have no reason to believe at this point in time that is not being processed. But until I hear either from the town or we see something here on our end, I can't say for sure that the check has been cut, but certainly it is being processed. And I would like to think that everything that I've heard from the town, talking with the town manager, that we should see some progress with at least part of that crossing, the work being done sooner than later.
So just
Again,
they're waiting for that check to set the timeline.
I believe they've already got the asphalt date. I don't know it. I don't know the date off the top of my head.
I observed the town council meeting from last week, and it was discussed then, or maybe the one before that. Anyway, but they have a date already, I think, and we've got plenty of time for us to meet our part of the obligation to make sure that they've got money in hand before they begin.
yeah, and that date, the asphalt company was doing another project, I believe, here in the town, which is how they were able to kind of attach us to the tail end of that. And so, yeah, they're moving forward with the other work that they've got going on, which is why I believe that ours will be happening around the same time that work is being done. So,
Okay.
again, very close on another project that's kind of been out there looming for all of us.
And then Avon Education Foundation update.
Yeah, last month I made a reference to we were expecting some information from the AEF. I had an opportunity to speak with Steve before the meeting. Earlier this month, there was an email that was sent out from Brianna. It was addressed to the Township Board email address that I'm not familiar with, and Steve let me know he did not receive a copy of that. So I'm assuming that, okay, so we've got a bad email address floating around out there that will certainly get corrected. So I was under the impression that you all got this the same time that I did. I'll forward it out to you as soon as the meeting is done. There are 10 attachments to this email, which is why it didn't get printed and put in all of our packets. But to summarize, for the 2023 Supply It Forward event, they had 304 families that were served on the day of the event. 700 students shopped the supply store and left with everything that they needed. 80 who were unregistered still received supplies, but through their school counselors. 142 additional backpacks were filled prior to the start of school for students in need. 79 families were helped during the additional backpack project, for a total backpacks filled of 842 backpacks that covered 383 families. So all of that information, including all the attachments that spell all of that out even further, I'll forward that over to you once the meeting's done for you to be able to review that. Certainly appreciate AEF and Brianna to get that information over to us, because we already know that the money that we're earmarking to that program is going to a good use, but to see those numbers come through, that's what we want, is just to, have that reassurance that this really is working, and these township assistance dollars that are being used are going to the people that need it. So that's good information, and I appreciate them sending that over.
Okay. New business, Senior Services 2023 Community Assistance Request.
Table minutes, not chair.
Well, thank you for having me back. It's good to be back in front of the board and show really just a thank you for your support last year. You have the report that details what we were able to accomplish with the funding that we received from Washington Township. So in that report, it really breaks out the services provided to Washington Township residents, not the entire service area of Hendricks County Senior Services. But it does, when I was looking back on the report, it really was striking to me the growth in some of the program areas. I think in all but one category, additional people were served with additional hours or additional rides or pounds of food. And so that reflection in Washington Township is really a reflection in Hendricks County Senior Services. We have continued to grow, as we should. If you noted the statistics below, where the aging population in our community is going to continue to grow. And so we anticipate nothing but growth for our future. And we're really focusing, looking ahead on that holistic care. What can we do to meet the needs of the older adults and aging adults in our community? And I find it to be interesting because the people that we serve are ages 60 and older. And last month we had a new client that enrolled in our program, and she's 103. The needs of a 60-year-old and a 103-year-old are not similar in most situations. So there's exceptions to every rule. And so we do serve some 95-year-olds who have better health and better quality of life than the 65-year-olds who are serving with a lot of chronic health conditions. But that really is the spectrum of what we do. And so we're trying to meet needs and interests from that perspective, and really meeting the needs of a really diverse community, but also not just demographically diverse, but there's age diversity in that too, and generational diversity, and then desires and what people want to do. So next year, just to share, This report also includes my request for next year. Next year, we have some additional evidence-based classes that are coming on board. One is a fitness class. One is believe it or not, a substance abuse prevention program. Our baby boomers are really drinking a lot and using a lot of substances and misusing prescription medications. And so we're trying to get ahead of some of those trends that we're seeing in the community. We are adding to that some mental health programming. And then, of course, fitness classes continue to grow. We don't have enough space for all the group exercise classes people want, which is a good problem to have. Coming up this fall, we do have our big health fair at the end of October. And so we are out in the community doing a lot of outreach right now, promoting flu vaccines specifically because those are so important, but COVID and all of the vaccines, pneumonia, that people need and should have. And then we have continued to expand our partnerships in Washington Township, but also in the rest of the community on outreach and education for dementia education, which the Township Fire Department has participated in regularly, and also fraud prevention. They're just huge issues right now. And so we were at Avon Library last week, or Washington Township Library last week, with a fraud prevention class in dementia education, and then have more coming up in Avon and throughout the rest of the county. So those are the high level kind of topics and issues that are really front and center for senior services and our seniors in the community right now. We are seeing, I'm not surprised to hear Britt's report on housing and homelessness because for the first time, I've been with senior services for almost 12 years. And in the last 24 months, it's when we've had to become experts on how do we help nearly homeless older adults. And that has not been an issue in the past. And it's not always economic, as we find out with our older adults. Sometimes it's memory loss and lack of family support that's really causing some of their financial troubles. So it's a little bit complicated, but we're working through it. People are getting help in the community, whether that's here or throughout the rest of the county. So thank you for supporting what we do and for considering our request for 2023, 2024. And I am happy to answer any questions you have, or I can talk about seniors all day, so you have to tell me what you want to hear about.
I know the township, obviously, we're growing, obviously, probably disproportionately. So the relationship of younger to older citizens is probably growing much faster in the younger, but is the pure number of senior citizens increasing in Washington Township or whatever you may be able to?
It is increasing in Hendricks County across the board, and I would assume that growth is reflected in those high population centers of our county as well, so which would be in Washington Township, Plainfield, Brownsburg. Older adults tend to follow their families, as their health declines. Then if mom, dad, and grandkids move to Avon, they want grandma and grandpa to come too. And so a lot of the seniors that we serve come and visit us because it's kind of boring when mom and dad, the adults and the kids are at school and their adult children are at work. And so they need to meet people and engage in the community. So they're with us, they're at the Y, they're at other places trying to build those relationships out in the community. So we do see a lot of transplants to the community in that way. I certainly can find out specifics on Washington Township, but the county is certainly growing. And the last reports from the state really highlighted Hendricks County as an area of significant older adult growth, and for good reason. We have good healthcare in our community. There's safe places to live. Their families are here. There's a lot of activity. There's a strong faith community. So there's all of these great assets in our community that draw older adults to the community. And in specific areas, there's a lot of senior housing. So that's another driver too.
So do we know what we granted last year? I should have asked this. It was 65?
It was more, but we reduced it because we basically took out the transportation for Washington Township Transit.
Okay.
So it was 12 or 12.5. So this is a reduced amount for 60. Okay. So our request is 6,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have no reservation that it would be well spent. So I'd be in favor of approving this expenditure at the current time, and then when we get into the cycle of next year, as far as the timing, it becomes a different issue. But yeah, I would be very, very pleased to approve that for this year.
And we're working on budget and township assistance.
We're very tight. But we have some testing.
That's what caused us to go. Okay. The finance people are fine.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm in favor of it as well. Of the wonderful work that you guys do. It's so important for seniors to have a place to go, and a lot of communities don't have this. So it's a treasure. Just keep up the great work.
You need the motion.
We will, yeah.
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 I'm sure that.
I move that we approve the grant application for $6,500 to senior services.
And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, any other public comment or wishes to be heard? Okay, if not, we just need a motion to adjourn.
I will move to adjourn at 3:37 PM.
A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.